Hey everybody, this is Derek and Crystal Oliver, and we are Budget Me Black, and we're so excited because it's Financial Freedom Friday, and we are your new favorite financial coaches. We come on every Friday night to coach you to financial freedom, and we have our friends on tonight, Jermaine and Catherine Shorter. Hey y'all.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey, everybody.
Thank y'all for coming on. We're so excited to have you. And one of the things that Marriage, Money, and Mission has really been about, and they have been amazing. So if you haven't watched those videos, y'all go back and watch all of those videos. And what we're trying to do is put images before you of people that actually do business together, yes. Black families, married couples that are doing business together. They're making their money together. They're on mission together. And we're so excited to interview you all tonight to talk more about that.
So just tell the people, what do you do?
So, we're Jermaine and Catherine. We opened up a counseling and coaching agency in January of 2019, and in October 1st, we moved into our office space. So now we have our counseling office, we have our group space for all of the things that we need to do with all of the people in the communities. But my husband, he is a licensed mental health therapist. He's got a bunch of initials that I never remember. And I am a certified pastoral care counselor.
How long have you guys been married?
It'll be 10 years in November.
Yep.
Oh, wow. Awesome. So y'all about to have an anniversary.
Yep.
Oh yeah, yep. A big anniversary.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a big one. The 10 years is a big one. We celebrated big on our 10th year.
Yeah.
So how long? So you've already talked about how long you guys have been doing business together, and then the type of business. So what is your why? So why do you provide counseling services? I mean, we know some of the obvious reasons, but what is your particular why?
Yeah, so I think it kind of ties into, we've had this particular business for 2 years now, about 2.5 years, but we started in business together almost right after we got married, because I started, I had a DIY event planning company that turned into like custom cookie decorating and all these other things. So while I was doing like the artistic side of it, he designated himself as like the business manager. So basically to kind of keep me on track and like, don't spend money on unnecessary stuff, because I was like, oh, this is so cute, I have to buy it. And he's like, you have 3 of them at home. Like, what? And so we got into a lot of different business opportunities, and just kind of like balancing each other out in that. But when it came to this particular business, I think this was more ministry driven, because his story is that, like, we were both I was at a university, he was in corporate America, and we were in fields and in jobs where we felt like this is where we're going to be, and this is what we're going to be doing, if not for the rest of our lives, for a really, really, big part of our lives. And he was, do we say laid off or fired? Like, I don't know.
No, I was fired. I mean, in real life, on paper, however you want to say it, I was fired. So I was literally pushed out of corporate America. I was literally pushed out of my comfort zone and forced to grow.
Yeah. And so when he did that, it was, he was just kind of like, well, I'm gonna, I'll just get another job. It'll be fine. And maybe it may take me like, a month or so.
A week or two. No problem.
Yeah. So 9 months later,
Wow.
And it was, for him, it was a process of, okay, if this is not where I'm supposed to be, what is it that God would have me do? So he spent a lot of time, growing in his faith walk. And I was just kind of like, okay, I'm going to work. Let me know if you need anything. I'll be home in a couple hours. And he was spending time with God and was called into the ministry of counseling. And so he was like, I feel like this is where God is calling me. And I'm like, I mean, I don't get it, but sure, if this is what you want to do, go for it. I'll support you. So he went back to school and got his master's in counseling. And about halfway through the program, I was like, And I think before that, we had kind of started like the marriage ministry, like my personal blog was all about marriage ministry, and he kind of assisted on that. So we had a heart for marriages. And so when he went into counseling, I knew that I wanted to help him, but I also knew that as a counselor, I had a responsibility to not cause more harm than good. So I went back to school and got a certification in his degree so that I could work alongside him. And so that's just kind of like how it, blossomed into now we're doing this whole thing together.
Yeah. And so the why for me is very simple. It's for Black people. That's why I'm in it. That's really primarily what I care about is Black people.
Yeah.
So that's how I operate and approach in my practice. That's how we designed this space. We designed it so intentionally so Black people would feel comfortable here.
Yeah.
And feel welcome to coming. So everything I do, Black people.
Wow. That's so powerful to hear you say that, because over several generations in the mental health space, it's just been frowned upon, typically in the Black community, particularly with the older generation, the silent generation, the baby boomers. And then for us, I guess we consider ourselves Gen X.
Mm-hmm.
I think it maybe started to get there a little bit, the shame and the frowning upon mental health treatment. But I think the millennials really started to push it forward and became very open and became very widely accepted. And so I think that's very powerful. Why do you think it has become so widely accepted in these days?
Well,
currently,
before the pandemic, there was buzz, right? People were starting to hear it, but when the pandemic arrived and took over, and kind of forced people to pay attention to what was going on in their lives, they could no longer work their way away from their problems, or party away, or school away, or busy away. You can't run away from your stuff no more,
right?
Because it's right there with you. You whether you're working at home or unemployed, you hit in the face every day, all day with your problems, and there's no escape. So you run in someplace for some refuge. You run into the church, you run into mental health professionals, you run into those confidants. So people like me in the mental health field got very busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think because we specifically, have a heart for marriages and love working with couples, like you said, you couldn't run away from it. Like if you were having issues with your husband or wife, like you couldn't leave the house and go anywhere. Like you couldn't go to work, you couldn't go to the gym, you couldn't do anything. Like you had to be in the same space with them. And as a result of that, I think people were just kind of like, okay, I gotta try something different, because this ain't it. This ain't getting it no more, and so tragically, because people were now unable to escape, like we did see, across the country, like an increase in like domestic violence and abuse and things of that nature. But we also saw an increase in people saying, I need help. Like I need somebody to help me. So I think that's part of it, because mental health has been more, it's become more popular, it's become more commercialized, there's more people talking about it. And, even if you're not out and proud and saying, I have a therapist, it's more mainstream that you can, see on social media, okay, this is how I maybe can handle this situation. And be able to see, okay, I can go get help. I don't have to tell anybody about it, but I can go get help and I know it's okay. So I think just a lot of factors that have made it like, okay, this might not be the worst thing for me to do, to go see somebody for help. Like, it's okay.
Yeah. And one of the big things in my mind, I believe, is churches, Black churches. It started coming from the pulpit. It started coming from Bible classes. It started coming from people in the church that said, hey, maybe we need to partner or find some resources for our members because they're struggling. And we as pastors, people who are trained in Bible, don't really understand the mental and emotional health part of it. So we need to partner with other Black professionals such as us to get our people some help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Awesome.
What, you guys have kind of talked about this a little bit, but what, in terms of working together, what roles do each one of you play in the business?
He does all the important stuff.
Well, that's you know, working in business together, it's hard to know exactly who's responsible for what. So as things come up, you know, if it's something that's fairly simple, one of us will just handle it. But for the most part, we do talk about every aspect of the business and try to, even if only one of us is actually doing the physical typing work, both of us are having input into what's happening.
Yeah. And one book that I got, it's called A Strengths-Based Marriage. And the author escapes me right now, but one thing that we've had to learn is that because we have different backgrounds and different strengths, we have to rely on the other person to kind of like fill in where there are deficits or, you know, weakness or something like that. So I know that math is not my ministry, so I don't fool with like I don't fool with the budgeting. I don't fool with expense, nothing. That's him. He's the math dude. But when it comes to like, you know, with the office setup, I got to decorate everything, you know, put stuff in here to make this a welcoming space for, you know, our clients. I do like the social media side of it and all of the things where I've spent years, you know, kind of honing my craft. And, you know, when it comes to like, we're going to do a lot of workshops and stuff together. You know, he has a more analytical and, you know, no nonsense way of dealing with things where I'm the more kind of like mama hen and, you know, come here, let me comfort you. And so having those two personalities gives us a really good balance in how we operate in this business. And, you know, he doesn't necessarily need to learn how to do like all the social media stuff, but we've also tried to be very intentional about kind of learning what the other person does. So like if he gets busy and he has 7-8 clients a day, I can, you know, take away the administrative stuff from him and do that so that we make sure that, you know, we keep going forward and there's not too much on one or the other person.
Yeah, I think especially with the transition to office space, I figured out that my default is to focus on the function and flow of the business. Her default is to focus on the fancy stuff. And so, you know, like decorating and picking out furniture and like decor and all this stuff, that was all her. Making sure the business flows right, that was primarily me.
Yeah.
And so that's just kind of where we land.
Yeah.
We had Kim and Reggie Davis on last week, and she talked about how the mother or the wife kind of sets the tone and set the mood of the environment. And so you have a lot of power in the fact that your energy, like what energy you bring into the home or what energy you bring into, in this case, the office space. And so you were able to kind of like set that up so that people can feel that warmth, that hug when they walk through the door. So
yeah,
and that's fun to be able to do.
Yeah.
That's the fun stuff.
Necessary.
Yeah.
Take you back to the mental health piece. I'm an educator by trade, and I was reading some statistics about mental health, particularly in the age range of 13 up to 18. Well, I try to do some practical stuff like, well, tell me your highs, tell me your lows of the week. You know, just try to get them to express it through journaling. What would be some practical tips that you would recommend for people to utilize to help them de-stress or to help them with depression? What some practical things would you suggest for people to do?
Okay.
The first thing I would say, and you know, he's definitely a bigger expert than I am, but the first thing that I would say and what I've had to learn myself is to understand that it's okay to not be okay. Especially in our community, we're too often told that if you're having a mental health struggle, or if there's something that you're struggling with, that by some means it's your fault if you don't suck it up and move on. Like, it's a sign of weakness if you ask for help. And so I think the first part in that is knowing that if you need help, it's okay to say, I recognize that there's something going on, even if you can't identify that you're struggling with anxiety or depression or something like that, to understand that there is something going on with me, but whatever it is, it's okay that I'm struggling, and then it's okay to ask somebody for help.
One of the things I try to encourage people to do is make sure they have like connections. So connection to nature, make sure you're getting sunlight, natural sunlight, direct sunlight onto your body, and you're absorbing it into your body. I'm saying for Black people, because we got to stay outside a little bit longer than our non-Black brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
So sit out, it may be uncomfortable, sit outside in the sun. And if you don't do anything else other than sit there, it will actually give your body some energy and vitamins to kind of lift your mood and spirit. Connect with people, connect with community, because the devil loves isolation. The adversary loves to get you alone. And once you're alone, he can work on your brain, he can work on your body, he can work on your heart. That's not what you want. So you definitely want to be connected with people, whether it's loved ones, or connected with community, spiritual community, your community that you live in, your neighborhood association. Make sure you have some sort of activity to engage in.
Yeah.
Powerful. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, what a follow-up question would be, how would you advise people who are not ready to see a professional counselor or therapist? How would you what would you suggest for people to do if they have a family member or have friends, co-workers, and they just very reluctant when it comes to seeing a therapist or seeing a counselor? What ways could we encourage them to try it?
Don't push them.
Okay.
Therapy is something you definitely have to be ready for as the person, as the individual. Other people are ready for you to be better, but you may not be ready for you to be ready. I mean, better.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Like, you really need to give people space to make the decision for themselves, because ultimately it's their own work that they're going to be doing. And so the best thing you can do is not pressure them, but provide them with avenues, provide them with resources, and then let them consume them the way they want to.
Yeah, and I think in that same vein, as the friend or family member, if you know someone is struggling with something, it is so important to be a safe space for them. So in addition to, not pushing them into something that they're not ready for, making it known, you don't even have to be like, I'm a safe space for you, but through consistent action and care and concern, letting them know that you're a safe space, so that when they are ready, to talk about whatever is going on, they know that they can come to you without judgment and without feeling like, that they don't have a recourse for whatever it is that they're going through. And then using that avenue to say, hey, I thank you for trusting me to be your safe space, but I'm not, I can't handle all of this. Like, I'll be here with you, but now it may be time for you to go see a professional. But with them being able to have someone they know they can come to until they're ready to see a professional will go a really, really long way to getting people the help that they need.
Yeah. And so when you're that support person, or that person that's listening to the person kind of vent about whatever's going on in their life, it's important to understand you don't have to be the one to deliver them to a place of happiness or healing or better. You don't have to, it's actually better if you don't try to do that.
Yeah.
It's all you really need to do is listen and make sure you're hearing them and make sure they know you're listening. Okay, yep, man, that sounds rough. Saying stuff like that, like validating that, validating their experience and affirming their experience of this is hard, this is rough. This may be really easy for someone like me, but for them, it's really tough. And respecting the fact that it is tough, it's heavy for them is really what you need to do, not necessarily put yourself in their situation and say how you would handle it. That's irrelevant, and that's just going to turn them off. They're not going to be listening to you. Just don't even go there. Take yourself out of the equation and just be that support person for them. If you can't do that, be mature enough to recognize you can't do that and tell them you can't do that.
Yeah.
Wow. That's good.
That's good. Yeah. Man, I messed up so many times.
I mean, we have too.
Yeah.
We have too, for sure.
Yeah, so that's very powerful and informing.
Yes.
Now I think I can do better with this information that we just received. So
How do people find you all? So what's your website, your IG? Like, how do people get in touch with you?
So our website is insideoutliving.org.
Yep.
Our Instagram.
I'd make sure I remember it.
All of our social media handles are IOCC Memphis. And our office is actually located at 1355 Linfield Road. We're in Suite 270. So if anybody is watching this and like, I need to just go to the building, come to the south side of the building, walk up the stairs, we're to the right. So
I'm so grateful for the work that you guys are doing.
Yes.
We know that it's needed in our community, and we both have sought therapy and mental health treatment in the past, and we know how necessary it is and how helpful it is. And so I'm grateful that y'all are out there and that y'all are doing it. I'm going to make sure I put y'all's website up so people can find you. Give me one last thing in terms of working together. And so any couple that is considering it, they're right on the edge and they're trying to figure out what to do. I actually met with a lady the other day, her husband is trying to figure it out. What would you recommend to someone that's just considering it? Like, because we have found, I told you guys earlier, we found how powerful it is to work together. And so what would you recommend, or what would you advise someone who's actually just considering working together as a couple?
The first thing that came to my mind was be very secure in your friendship. And I don't say be secure in your marriage, because married people gonna fight. We're gonna do stuff that nerves. He gonna make some decisions. I'm gonna look at him sideways like, what are you doing, bro? Like this is the reality of it. But if you have like that very strong friendship and a strong communication, when, not if, but when, you start to bump heads in business, you can always go back to that foundation of, okay, I need to, treat you with respect. You're going to treat me with respect. We're having some disagreements, but we have the foundation that we're going to like come together and be like, okay, how can we compromise and still go forward? So that was the first thing that came to my mind.
Yeah. But if you're thinking about it, one of the things people may be apprehensive about is, man, I'm gonna have to see this person all the time. Well, I mean, I don't know about other couples. I really like my wife. So like being around her all the time, no problem for me. Quite honestly, I don't get tired of being around her. So this whole seeing each other all day, no problem. If you're a person, but you have to be honest about that.
Yeah.
And so if you're a person who doesn't want to see your spouse all day, for other couples that works. But you have to be honest about it, and be willing to say, hey, we can do this business together, but I need some extra boundaries as far as the amount of time that we spend together. So just being honest about that. And people also may be afraid that man, what if this causes problems in our marriage? It will. You have to be resilient and strong enough to deal with that challenge when it comes.
Yeah.
Or if you're anticipating it, talk about it ahead of time. It may be easier to work out a plan before the problem happens. I'm not a fan of solving for problems that don't exist, but if there is a potential for something to go awry, why not have a plan in place? That way, you know what's expected and what to do when you get to that part.
Yeah, and I think, you know, kind of adding on to that, you said putting extra boundaries in place, but also having expectations of, you know, each other's roles in the business, you know, what your outcomes are going to be, and understanding that this is a business. Like, you have to keep it, you know, separate from, you know, everything else that's going on. You know, you have to take it seriously. You can't just come in and say, oh, well, I don't feel like doing this today, because if you have expectations and roles and things that need to be fulfilled, if you feel like I don't want to do it and I'm just not going to do it because, you know, my husband or my wife is not really going to say anything, you're setting your business up for failure because you're not treating it as seriously as it is. So, you know, it's another thing to consider.
And I think for us, it's heavier now because this is how we survive. Like this business is how we support our lives. Like there's nothing else. So
like, no stress.
Yeah, but there's nothing else. So if we don't do this work, we literally will not be able to eat. Yeah. So like we have to work together. We have to work through those issues and those challenges when they come. We have to love each other. Even in business, yes, this is a business, but we still have to love each other because we are married first.
Yeah,
we're sons of the King, but we're also married. Then we're in business. Yeah. So understanding how to prioritize your relationship versus your relationship versus your relationship.
Yeah.
Okay, man, so glad you guys have come on to bless us with all your knowledge, with all your wisdom. Oh my goodness, thank you so much. Reach out to these people. They can help you.
Look, this was a whole session for us.
Yeah. So calm and just handle things in such a, what's my word I'm looking for? Just say, so solemn and so calm, but have so much wisdom and knowledge. And man, I'm so blessed, really, honestly, truly, so blessed to have you guys to come on and share what you do every day, how you solving the problems with mental health amongst Black people. You guys are just busting it out. And so I'm so thankful that's your heart and that's what you, God has called you guys to do. And so I know it's a blessing to so many men and women who, you know, really need it, including us, you know. So thank you guys for coming on.
Thank you. We appreciate you.
I do want to plug one more thing.
Yes.
Since we're on.
Go ahead.
In December, we'll be starting a group for Black men. It's going to be called Day 6. So Day 6 is a processing group for Black men where we get to talk about the foundational aspects of being Black men in America. We know while the things that happen and the things that Black men experience is not unique, the way we experience it is unique. Therefore, the way we have to approach it is unique. And if we can get into some space where we can do some collective work and some collective healing for the culture, I believe we as Black people will elevate all Black people by participating in this group. So the group is called Day 6. The reason it's called Day 6 is because on the 6th day, God created man just by speaking. Yeah. And so on Day 6, we all Black men need our own Day 6. We need a space where we can use our words to speak power and manifest those things that we want and desire for our lives, for our families, and for our culture.
Yeah.
All right. Look, we
and to the men, I have to say to the men, When he says we, he means him, because I'm gonna be at the house. This is for Black men by Black men. I'm gonna be at the house.
For Black men only.
Yes.
Can we put the information about that in the
yeah, it'll be up on our website, so we can share
Okay.
it.
So that's what I was going to ask you. If I put your website up, they'll be able to find the information.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
So thank y'all so
Yes,
much.
Thank you for having us.
So I'm going to put y'all's website up so people can find y'all. Thank you again for what you're doing in the community. Thank you for doing this interview with us. And we are going to say good night.
Night, y'all.
Good night.
Thank you.